Hi guys, welcome to Easy Peasy Gardening. I'm your gardener friend Ruchi, and today we are going to talk about problems in tomato plants. So, if you've seen my previous videos, we sowed a lot of tomato seeds, and a lot of plants grew, and we planted them in various locations, and they have been growing really nicely. We have been getting at least, I mean, a handful of tomatoes every single day. But when you have so many plants, of course there will be some issues also. So today I wanted to show you some of the issues that I am facing and how to remedy them. So the first issue that I want to point out is that leaf curling. So if you look at this plant, these are basically two plants in this big container, and container has mostly compost and some half composted leaves, and they have grown really well. So these were heirloom tomatoes. They have grown really well, and you can see the heirloom tomatoes also growing. So everything is fine. So there are two things I notice in these plants. Do you notice the leaf curl? So you know the leaf is curled. Some of the leaves, not all, but some of the leaves. And it's not that only the top leaves or only the bottom leaves. All over, some places the leaves are curled, but otherwise they are healthy. They are not yellow or brown or anything. So most probably the cause of this leaf curl is excessive heat, because these days easily in the daytime the temperature is in 90 degrees Fahrenheit or even more. So they, because of the heat, these leaves curl up like this. So this doesn't affect the fruit formation in any case. So there is nothing to worry about, but maybe you want to provide it some shade, or maybe you want to water it a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do. But at this point, I'm not too worried about this issue. Um, and of course, this, as I showed you, that this planter is so big and heavy, and the plants have been growing so big. So they are about 6 feet tall from the ground. So it's not easy to move this planter or provide it any shade. The only thing I can do is that I can give it more water, and that's what I will try to do. The second thing I noticed in these plants is that it's very dense. There are a lot of leaves. There are not as many tomatoes, but there are a lot of leaves. There are a lot of tomatoes. I mean, don't get me wrong. A lot of tomatoes are growing, but if you look at this overall, these plants, it's too dense. So what happens is that when there are too many leaves, there is not enough air circulation uh, between the plants. And so whatever flowers are coming up, they don't pollinate very well, because there's no air flowing through it. So the best remedy for this is to prune it slightly. So whatever leaves, the leaves that don't have, or the stems that don't have any flowers, just prune them, and that way the air circulation will improve. So that's what I'm going to do. So I'll just start pruning it, and especially the leaves that are towards the inside, because that's where it is all uh, cluttered, and it doesn't have too much room for air to pass through. And not only the air circulation, but if the flowers are behind all these dense leaves, the pollinators cannot even reach those flowers. So you can see if there are any uh, branches that are kind of yellow, like if you look at this one, it is slightly yellow. So, if in any case we are pruning, so then why not prune the yellow or the brown ones? I love working with tomato plants because they are so fragrant, and as you are working them, even if you touch them, they release this fragrance, which is like so good. It feels so good working with tomato plants. The same is true, uh, with oregano. Oregano, mint, rosemary. So I have pruned it up quite a bit. You don't want to do too much pruning because then the plants may go into a shock. But I have reduced quite a bit of foliage. I can show you. I've tried to remove all the foliage that was yellow, and so now I'm just going to increase the watering in these plants, and let's see how it works out. So another problem I noticed was that in one of the plants, the tomatoes, they are split, they are cracked. So there are a lot of tomatoes growing on the plant here, but they are mostly cracked. So the reason for that is that the when they don't get water for a long time, and then when they get the water, they get a lot of water, and then they soak up too much of water, and tomatoes basically they puff up because of all the water, and then they split. So basically what you have to keep in mind is that you have to water them evenly, meaning every day you water it properly, instead of not watering it for 5 days and then suddenly watering it a lot. That doesn't work well with tomatoes, because when tomatoes are growing at that time, if they are thirsty, and then when you water them suddenly, they'll puff up and develop these cracks. So now I have added a few more points for watering these plants. So hopefully no more cracks will develop. We'll see. All these green tomatoes, we'll watch, and I'll let you know if they are developing any cracks or not. So this was like 1 week ago when I had noticed the cracks, and I added more water points here. But as you can see that at that time, like 1 week ago, the plant was not yellow. It was not, the leaves were not turning yellow, but now they have started turning yellow because it's a process. Once it gets into that process that it is not getting enough water, slowly it turns yellow. And now I have improved the watering system, but how do we know whether it's working or not? So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to prune all these yellow leaves, yellow or brown leaves, and then we'll see for another week that process of turning the leaves yellow should slow down or stop altogether. So basically, you know leaves like this, I'm just going to prune off, so it will be mostly green plant left, and that way we will know that our current waterings, are we developing more yellow leaves, or you know the system, the new system of watering is working or not working. And some of the leaves may be light yellow, I mean they are slowly turning yellow. You want to cut them off too, because these will they can't be reversed. No, they'll now turn dark yellow and then brown, so then you won't know whether your watering system worked or not. So you want to cut these kind of leaves also. So I think I have pruned most of the yellow leaves, and I noticed that most of the leaves were from this plant and this plant. So this means, this also indicates that these two plants were probably not getting enough water, and that's why they were turning yellow. Because the plants on the other side, they are fine, they are not, they don't have that many yellow leaves, you know, one or two yellow leaves here and there, doesn't matter. But these had a lot of yellow leaves. So this means that and side by side, so either they're getting too much sun or they're getting too little water, which I have fixed now. I have added, you know, the water points here, you know, these water points, so hopefully they'll do better. So another thing I noticed was that some of the tomatoes have this brown patch at the bottom. It's not like rotten or anything. When I cut it, it's all fine. It tastes fine. It's just this brown patch. And that happens when, you know, it's basically called sun scald. So basically the sun is too harsh and it develops this patch. But there's nothing to worry about. You don't need to do anything about this. It just looks a little off color, but otherwise it's fine. So I hope this video was useful to you. We talked about the leaf curl, which is really not too much of an issue, and dense leaves, so pruning helps. And the third thing is tomato splitting. It's because of excessive water or no water at all. And the fourth thing is that these brown patches. So I hope you got the tips how to take care of these. If you have any questions, leave a comment and I'll try to answer as soon as possible. If you like this video, press the like button and subscribe to our channel. And I'll see you next time. Happy gardening. Bye.